your typical blacktail hunt. They lay absolutely motionless for hours on end, and then boom, all of a sudden the sun hits them and you say, wow, there he is.
Boone and Crockett Country, presented by Loophole.
Ever since the colonizing of the New World and the belief that the destiny of civilization was ever moving toward the setting sun, California has been a land of dreams. The California Gold Rush of 1848 captured the entrepreneur spirit of the American ideal and ignited Western fever. Its fertile soils and mild climate sent fruit, wine, and wheat back to eastern markets and around the world. Its natural wonders of forests and seascapes helped birth the notion of saving natural resources from irresponsible use by man, led by the efforts of men like Theodore Roosevelt and John Muir, who fought tirelessly to save California's Yosemite and giant redwoods. Land in the West, including California, has always been in the crosshairs of man. Ever since the days of Western expansion, there has been a human land grab in progress across this country. Even with the expansiveness of North America, much of the conversion of our lands into agricultural production, the damming of waterways to irrigate these lands and hydrate a growing nation, deforestation for timber, mining, roads, highways, rails, and housing have all reduced what was once wild into what is now a human-altered landscape. That's the reality of it. It's a simple enough situation to realize without simple answers. Man and wildlife need space, and there is only so much of it to go around, even in California, our third largest state. With so much of our knowledge of California influenced by its major population centers like Los Angeles, San Francisco, Oakland, and San Diego, those outside the state typically do not associate California with open spaces, let alone hunting. The truth is, California offers rich and diverse opportunities for the sportsman. From rice-fed Pacific flyway waterfowl and quail and dove, to big game including black bear, mule deer, and blacktail deer, bighorn sheep, pronghorn, and 2 species of elk, one of which, the Tule elk, being only found here, California may very well be the West's best-kept secret. What is not a secret, if you've paid any attention to Boone and Crockett records, is that California offers the top 2 counties in the United States for trophy-class Columbia blacktail deer. This past season, Boone and Crockett Club member Jim Arnold from Texas traveled to one of these areas, Humboldt County, to hunt the secretive blacktail among the grasses and oak breaks of California's north coast. What he found was the other California, and what some residents are doing to save their slice of the Sunshine State.
I tell you, I told some people a couple of years ago that I think the Boone and Crockett Club is the best kept secret in the conservation world. You know, they do so many great things, and I think being the fact that it was started so many years ago by Theodore Roosevelt is a way to start trying to do a better job of preservation of some of the most valuable resources we have in this world, which is our wildlife. And Boone and Crockett Club is just very active in trying to make sure that those rights are maintained by all people in the United States.
Tim Pricer is a 3rd-generation landowner. His wife's family homesteaded what was once a large working cattle and timber ranch that lies within Humboldt County. As is often the case, over time, parts of the ranch were sold off, down to what is now just over 8,000 acres.
The ranch, Charles Mountain Ranch, has been in my wife's family for probably 60 years. At one time they had close to 36,000 acres. Through a series of family things and what have you, this ranch was passed down, and my wife and I own half of it, and her mother owns half of it right now. And when we took over the ranch, it was held in a trust, and we took it over about 9 years ago, and been running as a cattle ranch, timber producing ranch, and a hunting ranch. Well, not first and foremost. Cattle is always first and foremost, but we've been doing well with the hunting program. We started about 9 years ago doing our guided hunts, and every year it's been getting better.
Boone and Crockett Country is in partnership with the Wild Sheep Foundation, putting and keeping sheep on the mountain, and the Dallas Safari Club, promoting conservation and ethical hunting worldwide.
There is more to California than concrete and movie stars. In fact, much of the state's nearly 164,000 square miles of land is rural by most standards, including 149 designated wilderness areas. For the vacationer or sportsman, the diversity of landscapes and habitats can be unexpected, especially if one is thinking that hunting will be on easy-going, flat country.
About the time you think you've got an area where it's real easy to walk, and then you look down and there's a 500-foot straight-off drop-off and you fall into a ravine. So it's just a tremendous mountainous type region. It's just beautiful. It reminds me a whole lot of British Columbia. You know, I didn't really know exactly what to expect coming in here. It's a spot and stalk, and it's certainly spot and stalk 100% of the way. It's kind of one of those hunts where you crawl up on the top of a rock where you've got a great vantage point, and you just sit and wait, and you scout and look, and you could see an animal at 100 yards that you had no clue he was there. In fact, we walked up on one that was within 20 feet, and had we not spooked him out of his hole, he would have never moved. That's the kind of the way these elusive blacktails are, apparently. But if you sit there long enough, sooner or later they come out to eat. There was deer we spotted at 700-800 yards that we have no idea how long they've been laying there, but they lay absolutely motionless for hours on end, and then boom, all of a sudden the sun hits them and you say, wow, there he is. It's your typical blacktail hunt, your typical mule deer hunt.
Like any caretaker who knows his land and its wildlife, Pricer knows how to approach each outing and what the keys are to successful blacktail hunting.
On this ranch, we like to do spot and stalk. We have some great vantage points where we can spend hours glassing. And the topography of the ranch is such that you can sit there for a half an hour and not see an animal, and within 5 minutes, there might be a dozen pop up. So patience is a virtue. you have to be very patient. Normally we have a couple of Jeeps that we'll ride around. If the weather gets real bad, we'll use some ATVs or something to get around so we don't tear the roads up. Normally it's spot and stalk. Once in a while we'll go out and do a push, but usually not. We like to spot a deer, get a good assessment of what he is, and then figure out how we can sneak up on him and get close enough to make a good, clean shot.
It's always just like in any other hunt. You know, you always see a great big deer on day one and you think, I can't kill the deer on the first day. We saw a great 5'3" on day one. Beautiful, tall deer, lots of tine length, lots of mass. Made me think all night long, what did you just do?
With an ownership philosophy of land preservation and wildlife conservation, Charles Mountain Ranch is a model for what is possible and necessary if wildlife and hunting are to be with us in the future.
There's a lot of surrounding properties that have been getting subdivided. When that happens, it just kind of pushes the wildlife out. You get too many buildings, too many houses, which, you know, if they keep pushing the deer our way, I'm okay with that. But we want to keep our deer population and our wildlife population. We want lots of wildlife. And we pretty much manage for wildlife. There's a couple areas on the ranch we have more or less fenced out. We don't let the cattle go in there. And we stock it lightly. We keep it stocked lightly. We never overgraze. And by doing that, we also don't have to feed in the wintertime. That was, you know, years ago, and I still know people that feed in the wintertime, but I took a class once that said if you have to feed your cows in the wintertime, you have too many cows. So we don't feed in the wintertime, and our cows show up in the springtime and they're just in great shape. You know, they're out eating all day. You take them one bale of hay and they all come to it, and they're gonna stand there for 2 or 3 days waiting for you to bring another one. It's just like putting them on welfare.
A balance of cattle and wildlife are certainly important. Just as critical is selective vegetation control.
This area right in here, a couple of years ago, we got a grant through the NRCS to clear the fir trees out of the oak stands, because they will take over and literally choke the oaks out. We have some stands. Looks like a beautiful stand of fir timber. You get in there and it's just, there's dead oak trees all over in it. And we're trying to save as much of the white oak because they're such a huge food source for all the wildlife, from squirrels to deer to bear. We've even seen bandtail pigeons up there swallowing the acorns whole, which is funny. We went through here a couple of years ago and cut all the smaller fir trees. You couldn't see through this at all, and now it's all opened up, and we still have a little bit of burning to do to clean up some of the slash, but the grass has come back. There was no grass in here, and now we see deer in here, and it's made a huge difference.
Boone and Crockett Country is in partnership with Buck Knives, knives that fit your life, and the Pope and Young Club, for the good of bow hunting.
As sportsmen, when the word conservation is used, we naturally think of protecting and managing wildlife. In many ways, this is the cart before the horse, since without land conservation, wildlife cannot exist. With 60% of the land in the United States owned by the people, private land stewardship is therefore critical to future wildlife conservation efforts. These efforts are greatly increased when land can be blocked from the type of human development that displaces wildlife. The tool to do this is conservation easements. A conservation easement is a voluntary, legally binding agreement between a government agency or qualified land protection organization that limits certain types of uses or prevents development from taking place on a piece of property now and into the future. These easements will protect a property's ecological or open space values, regardless of who owns the property next. Having already lost some of their family's original holdings, Tim Pricer and his family chose this option for Charles Mountain Ranch. Whether it is cattle and timber production or wildlife protection and hunting, the future of the ranch is as secure as it can be, no matter who next owns the land. 4 days hunting, even in a game-rich landscape, can go by in the blink of an eye, especially if your goal is the selective harvest of a mature trophy.
When we started this hunt, we went out the first morning, actually saw some really nice deer. In the afternoon, we saw some tremendous bucks, just some really nice ones. One that almost didn't survive the evening, but we decided to let him go, and we kept hunting. The weather was hot, just miserably hot, and the moon was coming up late, and they were feeding. We weren't seeing anything in the mornings. It was tough. Yesterday, the weather changed a little bit, cooled off. We made our plan. We wanted to go top of an area that we call the slide. We'd seen some bucks in there the night before, and we were kind of hoping maybe they'd moved up a little closer to where we could get a stalk on. And we sat and waited and waited and waited and saw one little forking horn and a couple of does that were so far away you would have had to reload 3 or 4 times just to get to them. They were out there, and we were just about ready to give it up and go look somewhere else. And we were within seconds of picking up our gear, and we spotted one coming out from the left, and you could tell it was a big mature buck.
It was a pretty exciting experience from that point forward. He came out with 2 other big deer, trying to figure out which one was the best one to take.
Big 4x3. That 4x3's got big old bases. One on the left's a 4x. That's the one with the extra hook. That's the one we're looking for.
The one on the left?
The one on the left. He's not real wide, but he's got that extra hook. That's the one I've been looking for.
Previous hunter had got a shot at him in the same area off the same rock and missed.
He's 380 yards right there.
Okay. The one on the left?
The one on the left.
That's the one we want, you sure?
That's the one I want.
Okay.
He's not real wide, but he's got a extra hook off the bottom.
Two of them look pretty good. Okay, I'd like for him to come a little closer, but I'm afraid if he gets behind that rock, we're gonna lose him. Okay, I'm gonna take the shot. Okay, whenever you're ready. Okay. Got him.
Fantastic shot. Good shot.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice.
That's cool. It was exciting. I tell you what, I've killed a lot of deer in my day, and it's been a long time since my heart beat up on me like it did yesterday morning.
Oh, there he is.
Gosh.
Look at that. Oh my.
Boy, you were dead on this guy. What a beautiful deer. What a beautiful deer.
That is fantastic. Look at that.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome.
That is great. Wow.
What
You look
a
at
buck.
that.
What a deer.
Oh my.
Thanks, boss.
You bet.
Man,
Congratulations.
I'm glad you have got the patience here, buddy. Oh, wow.
He's got an extra point up here on this side.
Look at this.
And an extra kind of kicker eye guard.
Man, you've still got a little velvet left
Yep.
on you.
Look at that.
Beautiful
That is
guy.
beautiful.
Just a
That is
beautiful
a
deer.
fantastic blacktail.
I'm glad you showed me the patience last night and telling me, hold on.
Oh,
This guy is super.
he is gorgeous. Look at that.
What a deer. What a deer.
Not the widest of bucks, but oh, he is a big mature deer.
But look at him. Got great mass,
He's
good
got,
beam length, good points.
yeah, he's got it all.
He's perfect.
That's gonna make an absolute gorgeous mount.
Oh my goodness, yes. You know, this is what I've wanted for a long time, is to get the Columbia blacktail, and you know, there are just not that many places you can go hunt them. Well, you got a great shot place though. This is awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, man.
Bet.
That was cool.
No, that's
that
fun.
was very cool.
That's always fun.
Grand Slam complete. And what a way to do it.
Man.
Boone and Crockett Country has been brought to you by Leupold, America's Optics Authority, and the Boone and Crockett Club, fair chase and conservation since 1887.
Through his battles to save one precious slice of California, known as Yosemite, John Muir lobbied for preservation as a means to curb the wrath of man's thirst to conquer the wilderness. To this day, it is sportsmen, landowner, conservationists like Tim Pricer and Jim Arnold who may just be the last line of defense before the human effect consumes all of our remaining open space.
We're working now to keep the ranch a working ranch, an intact working ranch. In the past 5 years, we've been working with our local land trust to put the ranch into a conservation easement that will make sure that the ranch is never split. Always remains whole, can never ever be split. When we're gone and our kids have it and they decide they want to sell it, they can sell it, but it still can never be split. It'll stay a ranch just like it is forever, which will be nice. And we're part of what's called the Six Rivers to the Sea initiative, and it's kind of an effort to connect large ranches from the Six Rivers National Forest all the way to the sea. And you know, with some of the other ranches that are in this same program with us, we're coming real close to achieving that goal, to keep a large piece of prime wildlife habitat intact, so that it can never be fragmented and subdivided and encroached on. I think the easements are definitely a help to the community. They're keeping large working ranches intact and working. And by that, it's probably created jobs. I know on some of the other ranches, it's created jobs when a ranch is intact rather than split up into little parcels and houses built on them. Of course, you know, there'd be a little bit of construction jobs, but then, you know, there goes the wildlife. I think the community benefit is huge. This is a good cattle producing region here, and this keeps us in production.
You know, I think what Tim and Jackie are planning on doing is something that a lot more people ought to think about. You know, one of the big concerns that I have as very much of a wildlife fan is that what's the future of wildlife as these ranches, these large ranches, continue to be broken down, subdivided, sold off into smaller lots. And it is hard. It's hard to, in today's world to financially justify the investment that you have in a property like this and want it to continue on for generations to come. Tim and Jackie have taken 180 degrees from that. They've gone through a trust and working with the state of California and trying to establish an environment that they know will go on guaranteed for generations to come. And being from Texas, we see a lot of that. You know, there's some huge ranches down in Texas, but you know, as time moves on, you know, those ranches are sold down into smaller areas. And now all of a sudden people are starting to think about that. And I know that they've given me a lot of great ideas about my properties and things that I want to do to ensure that my kids and grandkids and great-grandkids and beyond that will have a place to go that can enjoy the kind of things that I grew up with and took for granted as a child, that this would always be here. Well, in today's world, it doesn't necessarily mean that it will always be here unless people like Jackie and Tim take the first step into ensuring that this goes on as a legacy for a lot of years to come.
The use of conservation easements has successfully protected millions of acres of wildlife habitat and open space, keeping private land secure and generating significant public benefits. What is needed now are more landowners exploring the benefits of this incentive program.
Closed captioning provided by the Dallas Safari Club, promoting conservation and ethical hunting worldwide.